Hello and welcome back to another episode of Raising His Kids. I know Lauren was supposed to have already finished up recording with me, but she's here for one more episode.
Yep, I'm excited about this episode. We have both had some stepmom anons that we've been hanging on to, so we're getting them all out. Sharing stories from stepmoms is one of my favorite parts of this podcast, so I knew I needed to go out on this one.
I always love hearing from other stepmoms, and the stepmom anons are definitely one of my favorite parts of the podcast too.
I wanted to really quickly just say to all the listeners who have sent me a message that I appreciate it so much. I got so many incredible messages, and if I haven't messaged you back yet, I promise I will. It means so much to me that being on the podcast was valued so much, and I'm honestly so grateful for every one of you. Our listeners are the best, and I am so glad that you're keeping this going, Tony.
Our listeners really are the best, and so many have reached out to me about saying, if I need a guest, to reach out to them. So many other people going, how can I support you to make sure that the podcast keeps going? To answer that question, it's simple. Leave me a 5-star review wherever you like to listen, and make sure that you follow the podcast on social media and like everything and share everything, because that's how I'm going to reach more listeners and continue to grow and continue to help people. That's really the biggest thing.
And all those things are free. So
exactly. I don't need your money. I just need your reviews. I need your 5 stars.
Yeah. Yes. I'll give you a 5-star review once I'm done with the podcast.
Oh, yay. I wonder if I could leave my own.
That's why I was like, I never left one while like we were doing it together, because I'm like, that's kind of cheap. Like, that's not, nobody likes that.
It is kind of cheap. It's like some of my co-workers, we try to get customers to leave us 5-star reviews on Google Reviews. And some of my co-workers have actually signed up with different like email addresses to leave themselves 5-star reviews.
Oh my God. Do you get like bonuses or something if you're mentioned?
I don't know. Maybe if you get enough of them, you might, but you get an email from the CEO when you do, which is kind of cool. That's that the CEO actually pays attention. It's not enough, but when you get enough of them, and like, it's cool that he pays attention, but if you get enough of them, I think there's bonuses in. But in the year that I've worked there, I've only had like a couple. People where I'm from don't like to leave Google reviews.
I never leave reviews either, and I feel like I probably should.
Well,
especially if someone's going to make a commission or a bonus or whatever.
Exactly. Now you can leave one on the podcast.
Mm-hmm. I will.
Well, are you ready to get into some of our hoarded stepmom anons?
Yep. So grab your coffee or your wine and let's get into it. Tony, why don't you kick us off and read the first one?
Alrighty. So the first one is a long one. The last time Karen moved from one state to another, stepkid was close to school age, so my husband went ahead with getting school listed into the court order. The judge ruled that stepkid should not attend any pre-K unless the school is aware of our then custody scheduled, and agreed to let stepkid miss school during my husband's time or until he reaches kindergarten age. A few months later, Karen texted my husband saying, I found a school that will allow stepkid to attend kindergarten even though he is a year early. Do you want to agree with me, or do I need to take you back to court? Due to some other issues at the time, my husband agreed to let her enroll stepkid in school to avoid court, since we had just finished court just months before. Karen swore that stepkid was in kindergarten at age 4 because it is a private school and he tested to be enrolled early and passed. As soon as stepkid started school, Karen mentioned that stepkid would probably be held back a year, which was all the confirmation we needed to know he was enrolled in K-4 and not kindergarten. My husband was not listed as stepkid's dad on any paperwork and was refused any educational info related to stepkid because he didn't have a court order saying he could have access to it. Once they got about 2 months into the school year, I got the urge to check the school's website. They had posted their school calendar. Stepkid has a full week break every month besides 2 throughout the school year, and since my husband had an order saying that He was to receive any and all school breaks that were 3+ days. That meant our custody schedules stayed almost the same as it was before stepkids started school. I found the calendar a week before his first break. Mum ghosted my husband when he told her he had gotten the calendar on his own and was expecting to meet at the exchange location that weekend. She was livid. She had ignored 4 different requests of him asking her for the calendar before this. She didn't confirm we could get him until the night before. Fast forward to re-enrollment the next year. Mum tried to refuse to enroll stepkid back into that school and said she wanted him to go to a more expensive private school where her husband's uncle is the headmaster. My husband obviously told her that he was not okay with that. They went to court and the judge ruled he has to stay in this school until he graduates, so he can continue to visit with us monthly. A few months later, Mum filed saying the school was unsafe. It isn't. And then after that battle, she filed trying to change court jurisdiction to her state as an attempt to change stepkids' school and raise child support since her state has different regulations. That also failed, and now our order says if stepkid changes schools or if she tries to change his school again, the judge will have reason to change custody as she is intending to use his education to take my husband's parenting time. She has now started trying to involve my stepkid into her lies, telling him that his dad makes her send him to the school and she has to pay for it on her own. And if she had it her way, he would go to a public school beside their house because then she would have more money to do stuff with him. He could sleep longer in the mornings and wouldn't be in the car very long to and from school. We told stepkid we pay half of his tuition and everything else, and that if he went to a different school, he would hardly get to see us. He didn't mention anything else about it after that. Oh, and he in fact was enrolled in K-4 and not kindergarten. Our order also says my husband is to have any and all access to stepkid's education and medical info to avoid her being able to do anything else like that.
That is crazy. That is really, she's nuts. So part of me is like, we don't believe anything Karen says, and we literally question everything. Like, we Google everything. So it might be different in other places, but for us, it's like you cannot go to kindergarten unless you're 5 years old. So if you're in school before that, it's either K-4 or preschool. So I feel like that is just confirmation that if you have a parent who's not cooperative or like a co-parent, then you need to just Google literally everything she tells you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so wait, so K, where she wrote like K-4, it means K-4, like pre-kindy?
I think so. So it's like, as far as I know, K-4 is for kindergarten for 4-year-olds, and it's still like a step above preschool. I think it's for people or like kids who are like mentally able to go to kindergarten. They would like learn the same type of things, but they're not 5 yet. And at least in my state, the state law is that they have to be 5 before they go to kindergarten.
Yeah. So, for example, the way our kids go to school is kind of confusing. So where I am, prep is the first year of school. Your kindergarten. Our kindergarten is like your pre-K.
Okay.
Big K, even though he was ready and his kindy were like, he needs to go to school because he'd been in daycare for 5 months, they were willing to sign paperwork to have me enroll him into school the year that he was going to turn 5. But because he's born in December, they wouldn't take him. If he was born in July, like the first 2 weeks of July, they would have, but he's not born till December, so they wouldn't take him. So he didn't start school until after his 5th birthday. And Miss K did kindy last year and has just started prep today.
Right.
And she turned 5 on Sunday.
Okay. So for us, it's like, because obviously we start the school year in September, that it's like, I think it's October, if your birthday is later in the year than like October, then you have to wait a whole another year before you can get into kindergarten. So like the people who were born in October, November, December, they're like a year older than everyone else in their class.
Yeah. So we do ours similar to that, except for the fact that our school year starts in January.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that just blows my mind that this Karen would go to such lengths.
I agree. That reminds me, I can't tell you on the podcast because it's not my business, but I have to tell you about my friend who's being a Karen, and that just reminded me of it.
You can tell me afterwards. Do you have a stepmom anon
Yeah.
to share?
Yes. Okay, so I met her in person and I asked her to send it into the podcast and she actually did.
Awesome.
Um, so she says, I'm kind of in a weird situation where am no longer sure how to feel about being a family. I understand how that sounds, but hear me out. I am from Brazil and my partner is from Germany, but we now both live in the US. Our families still live in their home countries. We have not been back to our home countries as a couple because in the past almost 2 years that we've been dating, we have just not prioritized saving the extra money for travel. Last year, we made a goal that in 2025, the three of us, me, my boyfriend, and stepson, 11, would travel to both home countries during the year, and we started saving money. My partner's family graciously offered to pay for us to come out to them for Christmas this year, and we accepted and went. And this is like this Christmas that just happened. But here's my holdup. My stepson's behavior was straight up embarrassing. He needed everyone's attention all the time. He acted out, was rude, never used manners or apologized. If you were talking and he had something to say, and he always had something to say, he would just speak. He would just speak. No, excuse me, just talked right over you. This was the first time he had met most of these people, too. My boyfriend's parents don't know their grandson well, and I could tell they were a bit uncomfortable with his behavior and just not calling it out. My boyfriend called him out so often that he felt bad that he yelled at his son for almost the entire trip, and he basically did. This is not a side of my stepson that I've seen before, as we usually just hang out with the three of us when I'm around. She doesn't live with her boyfriend, she says.
Mm-hmm.
So now here's my dilemma. I don't want to bring my stepson home to my family anymore. My family is more conservative and won't stand for rude behavior from anyone, let alone children. I don't want to be responsible for him or his behavior. I don't want to be embarrassed in front of my family. I feel terrible saying this. I feel absolutely awful about the conversation I'd have to have with my boyfriend about it. I just don't know how to handle it. For reference, we have stepson every other weekend and half of school breaks. It was a fight to be able to take him to another country when Karen, uh, oh, sorry. It was a fight to be able to take him to another country, but Karen isn't cooperative or polite herself, so we know where he learned that behavior from. Although I know my partner understands and even shares some of the frustrations as I do, I still don't know how to back out of our plans to travel to my home country with him without being an evil stepmother. I know I sound like one, but I promise I'm not trying to be.
I don't think she's an evil stepmother. One thing she
I
needs
don't
to
either.
remember is that her stepson is not a reflection of her.
Yeah. I feel like that is hard to remember because I kind of feel like a similar way where my stepson is like his public behavior can definitely embarrass me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And people see it as a reflection of me. At least that's how I feel in the moment because they don't know that I'm stepmom.
Right. And it's hard in those situations, particularly in the public when people don't know that you're the stepmom. Um, I now graciously, when my kids are acting like assholes, and go, that's not my kid. I'm not responsible for them. And I will openly say that to anyone who wants to listen. Because if they're going to be raised like wolves by wolves, they're going to act like wolves.
Right. Exactly. So how do you think she should go about talking to her partner either about his behavior to go to Brazil or that she doesn't want him to go? Which one do you think she should do?
I Either or, it depends what she's comfortable with, but open communication is key. And you need to go, look, after what we just experienced in Germany, I don't want him to come to Brazil because I want to be able to relax. I want to be able to enjoy the time with my family. I don't want to be stressed the entire time. I don't want to feel like all we're doing is yelling at him the entire time. And I don't want my family to think that his bad behavior is a reflection of me or a
Yeah.
reflection of her
I
boyfriend either.
Right, exactly. And this is where I like really empathized with her because we are so we see my stepson so little that we constantly feel like we have no impact on the way he behaves or turns out or whatever. And that is always a pain point for us. So then when we take him like to other people, it and his behavior is embarrassing, and it's like we had no part in this. This is not how he would act if he was with us all the time, but we just have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. We're the same, and it's also harder for us because, for example, little J is diagnosed neurodivergent. He has selective mutism. He is autistic. He lacks social cues. He doesn't know how to interact with people. Just this afternoon, we were like, hey, can you call your sister and ask her how her first day of school was? And he literally just sat on the other end of the phone, and she's like, well, are you going to ask me how my first day of school was? And then he wasn't talking because he's mute. And my husband's like, it's like two retards trying to talk to each other, but they're both just, they're not saying anything.
Oh my God. That
But it
is
was painful
awful.
because she's screaming at him because he's just staring at her, not speaking.
Right. Yeah, that is
You
so
know,
annoying.
And I get frustrated with him when he does that. And I just remind myself that this is a reflection of Karen. This is not a reflection of me. Um, I remember Big K's dad telling me once that Big K spoke to him quite rudely. And I'm like, I don't think that's a reflection of me. I think that's a reflection of you and how you speak to him and how you treat
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, and I definitely think that's true because kids are always going to talk to other people the way they're talked to. At least I think so.
Exactly. But at
So,
the same time, you can model that behavior. So it's giving and getting respect, right? If you speak to the
yeah.
child with respect, they're going to speak back to you with respect. And if they don't, that's when I believe they need an ass whooping. So,
Right. Right.
like,
And that's why it's like hard though cuz how much impact can you have like when you see them 2 weekends out of the month? Like you get 4 days a month. How much
yeah,
impact can you have on their behavior? I don't know. It's something we struggle with a lot.
we struggle with it, especially before we even started getting half of school holidays. The boys' behavior was ridiculous. You
Right.
know, that's
Well, at
one
least
reason
it
why I keep reminding
started to
myself
improve when you
that
guys
little
got more
J has
time.
come so
That's promising.
far. But at the same time, I get embarrassed when we go see my family and he's doing some stupid shit that I just want to clip him around the ears for.
Yeah. I definitely get that.
It's not that hard to say please and thank you, chew with your mouth closed. And they're just the basics. Like, I'm guessing that
Right.
this kid was over the top, but just get the basics down pat. Please, thank you, chew
Y-
with your mouth closed and use your cutlery and keep your elbows off the table. Like, bare minimum.
Right. Literally bare minimum. Yeah. I know. It's crazy.
Um, when is she meant to be going to Brazil?
They don't have like a set plan yet. Their goal is just to go sometime this year, so probably closer to like the end of the year, like October to December type of
Hmm.
time frame.
Yeah. She just needs to be,
But they'd be having to book tickets soon.
yeah. Well, you need to call her or message her or whatever and just remind her to be honest and remind her boyfriend about what a shitty experience Germany was.
That's what I was like. I was like, you should probably have this conversation with him. The sooner the better. So it is fresh in his mind how hard that
Hmm.
was. Where
Yeah,
it's like, if you could just meet her parents and stuff for the first time by yourself, like without your son there, I feel like that would be the best way to go.
absolutely. Because the thing is that they're going to automatically think that this kid is a reflection of his father.
Uh huh. Definitely. Which is like
Because
fair in most cases, but
when they don't understand the situation,
right.
and that's why as stepmoms, we always feel that our stepkids are being like, we're being judged because of the actions of our stepkids.
Right.
But we have to internally go, well, you know what? I'm not the motherfucker that's raising them like this.
Right. I know.
But that doesn't help other people judging us from the outside. Unless, of course, you're
No,
like
it
me, and
doesn't.
when they're doing asshole stuff, you go, that's not my kid. Didn't
I
come
know.
out of me.
That's what I need to start doing. I definitely
You
need
know,
to start doing
I
that.
did it when we were on holidays. Little J and Big J were just, I don't know, acting like terrorists. And I'm like, they're like, oh, are you that kid's mum? And I was like, no. I'm like,
Right.
That's not
I've
my
never
kid.
seen him before in my life. That's so funny.
So, all right. I've got another
Do
one.
you have another one for us? Okay.
Yeah. Um, can a dad take his name off a child's birth certificate if he's not the father and without someone to adopt said child? Backstory: my significant other signed a birth certificate to a child he thought was his, but via a DNA test, he's not the father. We are stuck paying
Oh
child
my God.
support on a child that isn't his. Sorry. We are stuck paying child support on a child that isn't his, that he has zero relationship with. He hasn't seen the child since they were about 3 or 4, and they are now 9. My significant other no longer could afford to fight the child support case through attorney fees, etc., so he's stuck paying. Mother said she didn't care if he terminated his parental rights, but that doesn't get you out of paying child support. You know that. We have to take mother back to court to essentially sue her, but I'm not sure if it's even a possibility now since the child is so old.
Do you know where she is located? If she's in the US or not?
I think she's in the US.
I don't think it's possible.
I don't even think it's possible here. Like, if the father's on the birth certificate, because you can even, like, for example, if I didn't put Big K's dad on the birth certificate, I could still hit him up for child support by just saying that he's the father.
Oh, really? I don't think you can do that here. I think if his name's not on the birth certificate, you have to have a paternity test. Um, but after you've signed the birth certificate, you've basically sealed your fate.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy. I can't believe that. I would be so upset if I ever found out that we've been paying so much for a kid that we
Yeah.
never got to see and isn't even related.
My husband and I literally used to joke that maybe we should get a paternity test done on little J, because number one, he was saying like they weren't having sex at the time, so like it was happening rarely. So he's like, how did she even fall pregnant? Also, they had to do IVF to get the first, so he really didn't think it could happen.
True. But
And
he
for
looks exactly like your husband.
he does now, but when he was younger, he didn't. He just looked like
Oh.
Karen's. So I used to even laugh and say that he looked like the milkman.
Oh, yeah,
I was
seriously.
like, are you sure this kid isn't the milkman's? Like, blonde hair, blue eyes, looks nothing like you. But now as he gets older, he's starting to look more like my husband, which is really
Yeah.
hilarious because, everyone says that him and Big K look like they're the biological brothers.
Yeah, your all of your kids look like they have the same two parents. It's so funny.
So it's a bonus, I guess, sometimes. But yeah, I feel for this one. I surely there would be a way if you went to court, but obviously you have to go to court and you have to prove that you're not the father to have the child support case ended, right?
I don't know. I think after you've like had the birth certificate, after you sign the birth certificate, I think that's it. Like you would have to have he also can't just terminate his rights. At
Mm-hmm.
least in my state and I think in most states.
Yeah,
You have to have somebody else to take over for rights and for child support.
yeah. I don't know. I haven't really
And it has
looked
to be a
much.
partner.
I haven't looked much into it here. I know that you've got to be with the same person for 3 years before they can adopt your child. Um,
Oh, we don't even have that waiting period.
yeah, 3 years. And you have to have lived with for 3 years, not just be in a relationship for 3 years.
Huh.
So you've got to be in a de facto relationship. Um, but as for terminating parental rights and getting off child support, you can only get off child support here. So I could cancel child support at any time, but
Oh.
it also, but if I cancel child support, I don't get any money from the government otherwise. Like, he's just my responsibility. and I
Oh,
can't come
okay.
at his dad for money, basically. Um,
That makes sense.
and like, if I was a low income earner and getting Centrelink benefits and I cancelled child support, I wouldn't get anything other than the bare minimum. Like, I wouldn't get what I was entitled to unless I claim
Okay.
child support. Um,
Yeah, that makes sense.
but yeah, I know that I'm pretty sure I can't terminate, like, you can't terminate a father's parental rights here unless someone adopts.
Mhm.
I could
That's
be
how it is
wrong.
here.
I
Because
could be
the
wrong.
government doesn't want to have to pay for the kid. They want two parents to pay for the
And
kid.
and that's the same thing here. And that's why if, for example, a mother refuses to apply for child support, they don't get anything other than the bare minimum. They don't get it, what they're entitled to if they were to claim child support.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I think the best option would be to schedule a consultation with a family law attorney,
Hmm.
but as far as the research I've done on this, I don't think there's any way out of it.
I don't know, but
My
maybe this
friend
is
went through like something similar too, where they were, I don't think ever got the paternity test, and she broke up with this guy now, but they were pretty sure that this kid was not his, but he was basically like, well, I signed the birth certificate, so
your
sealed my
friend's
fate.
kid, or like your friend was in a step parent situation.
My friend was in a step parent situation.
Okay, I was like, your friend
Yeah.
was a tramp.
No, no. The mom of her stepson though had like 5 kids with 4 different guys and only had custody of one, and that was her stepson, and now she doesn't even have that custody,
That's a
so
red
she has
flag.
lost custody.
Who would have a child with someone like that?
That's exactly what I said. I was like, I've questioned my husband's choices in his first partner, but like at least he wasn't looking at that and been like, yeah, sure, I'll have a kid with
It's
her.
like, I don't understand the men that get into relationships and then their new partners. So it's more like, I don't get the women, right? Like, I don't get the women who get into a relationship with a man who has an ex, but they don't want their kid around. They don't pay for their kid. They don't show up for their kid. And then you want to go and have kids with them?
Yeah, I know. That's such like a like you know how he's showing you how he's gonna act.
Exactly. Like, yeah, yeah,
I know, it's crazy.
it is crazy. Um, do you have another one? Do we have time for another one?
I think so. This next one I have is short.
Okay.
Um, my husband and I had an ours baby in 2024 and we separated this month. Why? Of course, some issues with our within our relationship, but mostly because of Karen, a very high conflict Karen. I'm devastated because blended life is most unfair to an ours baby because Karen can't get her shit together and stop trying to make our lives harder. My husband can't hold the boundary, and my daughter will have to switch between houses for her entire life. She'll never know her parents together, and I'm devastated. I have 4 stepkids who are also going to struggle with losing me in their lives, and it's not fair to them either. But my heart is just broken for my baby.
I have something to say to that. This isn't all on Karen when you're saying that your husband can't hold a boundary.
Yeah, I agree. Well, she does say some issues within our relationship, but mostly because of Karen. But I agree because we have had huge issues and huge fights because of stuff that Karen has done, but it would never be enough to get between us like that.
Right? Like, right now we're arguing. I took the kids to the dentist. Luckily, the dentist likes me because I promote him on my private social media, like in the community group. I like promote people going to see him. So he gives me a discount. Um,
Oh.
well, I don't promote him for the discount. Like, I'm just generally, he gives good service. He's great with the kids. And he felt bad for me that since I went back to work, I lost all the government funding to get my kids to go to
Oh
the
yeah.
dentist. And then I spent so much money at the clinic getting my teeth fixed, but I keep going back, right? So he discounts it. And Big J's now classed as an adult. Little J doesn't brush his teeth properly, so he's got cavities. the two cheaper ones were my two biological children. They didn't cost as much because they didn't need as deep a clean or whatever, but the other two boys did. And so my husband called Karen and was like, hey, so taking the kids to the dentist yet again. Are you willing to pay half of it or whatever? And she was like, yeah, I'll pay half because he's trying to get on our good side because we need to pay her to pay for half of Big J's orthodontic work. But then she fucking hits us up to pay for half of his basketball that, number one, we didn't agree to sign him up to. Number two, we've just paid 3 years of football without a cent from her. And she wants us
Right.
to
That's
pay
what I was going to
half
say.
of his basketball. And so I lost my
Right.
shit. And then I also lost my shit because my husband's having a go at me that, oh, well, I've got to pay for this for the boys, but then you don't have Big K's dad here chipping in. And I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Like,
Yeah, I feel like that must be such a sore part of that twice blended life where he's paying so much and has the kids 50%, but you guys get nothing even though you have big K's so often. That I
no
can't
child
imagine how
support.
that feels for him.
Don't get a cent. And it's sort of the same as stepmoms feel like they go with no recognition. I think part of it
Mhm.
is that he feels that he gets no recognition. And I'm like, I am thankful that he works hard, provides for me, provides for our
Yeah.
children, our collective children. But I'm also dirty on the fact that Big K's dad pays no child support, that when he orders the books, he does it a week before school goes back. Or when I send him an invoice, he doesn't automatically pay me half of it, even though we've agreed
Right.
that he'll pay for half of it. So the reason that I rely on him to get the school books is because he already owes me almost $300.
Right. And it's
And
like, but like, what are you supposed to do? You can't
that's
just
just for
go to his
Big
house
K's
and take it.
expenses.
Right.
Exactly. Well, I can take him to court, but I'm going to spend more money than I'm going to get out of him.
Hmm.
And,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
you know, I I've made it clear that if I have to go back to mediation, that I have clear intentions of what that's going to be, and it won't be continuing things the way they're going.
Good. That is good.
So, because I'm not going to deal with the manipulation and the hell that I continue to go through because of Big K's dad and Regina.
Right. Yeah, I definitely understand that. I can't imagine having that like twice blended and like the comparison and all
Mm-hmm.
that extra drama like surrounding it. It's just, it makes it so much harder, I'm sure.
It does. But the added hurt on all of this is the ours babies. If it's like when little Jay was acting like an absolute sociopath and I said that I was going to leave,
Hmm.
that would have impacted my son not seeing his stepbrothers, but it also would have impacted Miss K because I made it clear that she wasn't going to be around him anymore.
Right. Exactly. And that's why like I do feel for her so much because I couldn't imagine me and my husband splitting up now because I don't want our baby to go her whole life with only seeing one of us at a time. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something I always felt bad with T for. He's never known his parents together. And that's always kind of made me a little bit sad for him. But I mean, you got to do what you got to do because that's going to be more healthy than the baby being in an unhealthy home. So,
Exactly. Two, I've always been and maybe it's because of the way that my relationship with Big K's dad ended, but I have always been a big believer on two happy homes are better than one unhappy home.
yes, I agree. Coming from someone who lived in the one unhappy home, I really think our lives would have been better if my parents got divorced early.
Yeah. And the thing is that there have been times where Big K's dad and I have come together for him, celebrated him together, stood side by side, done all the things to make him happy. Good parents can put their shit aside for their kids. All it takes
Definitely.
is for them to love their kids more than they hate the other parent.
Exactly. Yeah. Healthy co parenting does exist. We see it on several accounts,
It does. So
even though it's not common.
just because you're no longer going to be together, yes, it sucks because the time is split, but do as much as what you can together. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you're going to get back together, but it means that you're doing things for your kid together. I'm a big believer in that the biological parents should be able to do things for their shared child together.
Yeah, I agree. That's the only way to do it, in my opinion.
It is. Do you reckon we got time for one more?
I think so. We're only at an hour, and that includes the Patreon update. So,
Sure. Um, I'm after opinions on something. I know there are some people on here who do not love their stepkid. I am one of them. I want no opinions at all on whether this is okay or if I should be with someone whose child I don't love. What I would like opinions on is if one should still tell the stepkid that they don't feel love for, that they love them.
that's a good question. I have been I was there for a long time where I felt like I didn't love my well, I don't feel like I ever like didn't love him, but I didn't feel like I loved him in a way that like a mom loves
Mm-hmm.
a kid, you know what I mean? So I would always say like, "Oh, I love it when you're here. Or I love spending time with you," or something like that. It took me a really long time to actually say it. Actually, I think I didn't even say it to him until I was pregnant. Like
Yeah.
just to say like I love you to him. Oh, that's not true. That's not true. But still, like I would always say things like that, like just like, "Oh, I love it when you're here," or "I love being able to watch the movie with you," or something like that instead. But again, if that's not true, I don't know. That's a very good question.
I just feel like the same goes for any relationship, right? If you don't love someone, don't tell them that you love them.
What if the kid says it first, though? Like, what would you respond back?
I don't know. So, for example, I'm a child whose father didn't tell her that he loved her for the very first
Me
time
too.
using the until I was 21 on my 21st birthday was the first time he used the words I love you. He responded with ditto all the time.
Oh my God, really?
Or he'd just
That's
say you
funny.
too.
That's funny. We didn't like say it at all in my house. So it was very uncomfortable for me to tell my stepson that I loved him at all because growing up, we never said it to each other. Like
Really?
I didn't say it to my dad, he never said it to us.
My dad grew up in a house where you didn't tell people that you loved them. My mum grew up in a house where you told everyone you loved them every time they left the house because you didn't know when would be the last time that you saw them.
Yeah, that's kind of where
It,
I'm at. I tell
it's
everybody I love them now.
well, it's like when we're talking, like maybe not every time we sign off from the podcast, but when we send a polo and it's like, all right, I'll let you go, love
Uh,
you, bye.
yeah, right. Yeah.
Because love doesn't always mean romantic love. We've
Mm-mm.
we've covered this all the time. So is it that you don't love the step kid at all? Or is it just that you don't love them like they're your own? Because loving a kid like they're your own and not loving them at all are two different things.
Definitely. Do you know if this stepmom has bio kids?
I don't remember. These stepmom anons came through months ago. I've been
I
collecting
I
them in my
know.
phone.
I know. Um, I also feel like that matters though, on how you feel about it because I had like this belief for so long that like, no, I don't know if I love him like my own because I don't know how I love my own. So I felt like I
Mm-hmm.
didn't love him at all because I couldn't see him as loving him like my own. And it is like we've talked about before, it is still different. But like I want what's best for him. I want him to be happy and I wish that I could do more in order to
Mm-hmm.
like set him up for success in life. But and I feel like all that comes from a place of love too, even if you're not like actually feeling like, oh, I love this kid because, we've been having some issues lately and it's hard for me to feel that way.
I butt heads with little J all the time. Most recently, I've actually been butting heads with Big J because he's a 14-year-old stinky
Yeah.
testosterone charged hormonal boy and he's pissing me off. Like
Right.
just breathing is pissing me off. Like the kid, it's gone from little J being the one that sets me off to now it's Big J that sets me off. You know, he got the shits because I said to him that if he's going to swim in our spa, he has to tie his hair up because it keeps clogging up my filters because his hair's down to here.
Oh my God. That's crazy that it's clogging them up.
Because well, you've got to hose them out every week and people lose hair. So if he's swimming every day,
Yeah.
he's losing chunks of hair that are getting trapped in the filters. And so I said, if you're going to swim, if you either get a haircut or tie your hair up. So he actually
Yeah.
avoided for a whole day going in the pool until he couldn't avoid it anymore because it was so hot that he tied his hair up.
That's crazy. What willpower. That's funny.
I know, but you know what I mean? Like, I love them, but they piss me off.
Mm.
So it also depends on the situation because when, like, if she has like a Karen involved, like a high conflict Karen involved, that resentment could be like the resentment you feel for Karen, you could be projecting that onto the child and go, I don't love the child. So without more
Yeah.
information, it's really, really hard.
Yeah, I agree. But I feel like if you're uncomfortable saying it, you probably shouldn't say it. And
Hmm.
if you are comfortable saying things like, "Oh, I love having you here" or something, maybe
Hmm.
say that instead. The
Yeah.
only thing is I don't know what you would say if the kid said it first. Like what that's what I'm like, I don't know how I would react to that one.
When my husband told me that he loved me for the first time, I said thank you.
Well, that's funny. When my husband told me he loved me for the first time, I kind of avoided it at first because it was like it felt a little early for me, but it wasn't really. But I understand that. But I feel like it's different with a kid because like you can't just be like, "Oh, I don't love you right now, but I think I will," or something like that.
Yeah. Um, Thank you's a good thing. You could just say use you too or ditto and teach them what ditto means.
Yeah,
I know it's
right.
hard, but
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, and is it that you don't love them at all, or is it that you love them like a niece or a nephew?
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
like
I agree.
because I can't imagine not loving a child in my life, and it baffles me. It's like I've had these conversations with Big K's therapist because she doesn't understand the dynamic between Big K and his other household because
Yeah.
it's confusing for her because she's said things like, I can't imagine not doing things for my stepson to make my husband's life easier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, I do understand that there need to be boundaries sometimes. Like, I will not do pickup from Karen.
Hmm.
But that's because she has gone out of her way to make my life harder. So, and now I don't want our daughter around that at all.
Hmm.
Um, but overall, I do things all the time to make my husband's life easier, even if it involves me taking care of a kid that's not mine.
Does anyone think that I spent 4 years driving 2 hours, or yeah, 2 hours, no, an hour each way twice a day when we had the kids for my health or for my benefit?
Right. Yeah. Your enjoyment. I just like driving.
Like, I actually absolutely hate driving, particularly the
So do
roads that I had to
I.
drive. I would have much rather been just chilling at home, taking a nap, get
Yeah.
my hair done, get my nails done, whatever. I could think of much better things to do. But my husband deserved to have his kids in his life. And if it meant that I could
Hmm.
do something to make it easier on him, I'd do it.
Right. Exactly. So I do think that there is, like you were saying, there's a difference. But I also think it takes a little bit of work to like look at yourself and be like, do I
Hmm.
not love them at all? Because at like when I had like, was having that issue with T is like I didn't have niece or nephews. I didn't have my own kid. I really didn't have any kids in my life except for one of my friends that has young kids. But I see her like twice a year. So it
Hmm.
took like a lot of like work looking at myself to be like, I don't know how I feel about this kid because I have no references.
Exactly. And it's a different love to the way you love your partner.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I don't know, there's too many what ifs. But like you said, I don't know. It would be hard if the kid said I love you first, but
Hmm.
if that's not happening, don't say it if you don't feel it.
Yeah, I agree. And
Because
like, again, if he does say,
your actions will
yeah,
show how much you
that's a good
care.
point.
And the kid will pick up on that because Big K is the perfect
Definitely.
example when words don't meet actions.
Right. But BK is like mature, though. Do we know how old this kid is, did she say? I don't think she did.
No.
Okay.
But Big K picked up on it early on.
Oh, did he?
Like,
Okay.
Regina was just the woman who drove his dad around with snacks in her car.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then,
okay.
for like a whole year after his dad was living with Regina, whenever he had Big K, he would go to his parents' house to have Big K. So Big K never really got a chance to get to know her.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, it's weird dynamics, right? They're not dynamics that you or I would do. Does that make it wrong? Not necessarily. Does it mean that I don't understand it? Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what, like, I always say, like, I wish I could be a fly on the wall in other people's houses so I could, like, understand why they're making these choices, because it's just so far off from choices I would make.
Yeah. It blows my mind. I don't understand it. Can't comment on it.
I know. I feel bad that we don't have any solid advice for her, but
I
I know
know.
she doesn't want opinions either way, but if anyone else is feeling this way, it is normal to not feel love right away for a kid that's not yours. So I do just want to say that.
Absolutely. But I do believe that we have ran out of time for recording tonight. But
Yeah.
I feel like we didn't get through all the stepmom anons. So maybe we can schedule, like, in a month's time. You can come back and we'll do another stepmom anon episode.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it because I have a couple more.
I love the smile on your face while I'm saying that. You're like, yes, please.
Well, because I was like, oh, I didn't really expect it to take so long to read 3 of them or 4 of them, whatever it was. So I have 2 more just on this page.
So,
okay, well, that sounds fun. Let me know when you want to do that.
Absolutely. I'll send you my Calendly link,
there you
and you can choose something that works for you.
Sounds good.
All right. But as always, it was so great to have you here with me for this episode. And thank you for coming back for one more time. But as I just said, you're going to come back in a month.
Yeah. I hope to be a regular guest for you because I do like doing this.
It's certainly fun and they're great chats.
I'm so grateful for the support and the space that I've gotten from everyone. Thank you all for being so amazing to connect with these last 2 years and for the love and support as I make this hard choice. I'm going to miss you all so much.
We really do have the best listeners. If you love this episode or want to give Lauren a goodbye gift, please consider leaving a 5-star review. We'd both love it. If you want to submit your own stepmom anon to be read on an episode, send me a DM. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to this episode. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.